actually be perfect because between German, English, and Swedish, having in mind that Sweden is so close to Croatia, I think the majority of the people will understand that. Anyways, such an honor to have you here. It's not your first time in Croatia. Mind that you're here every year with your family for holidays, but it's actually your first official visit to Croatia in order to present your new product and to meet media representatives of our small but proud country. So before we dive into the coffee themes, how does it feel to be a member of the oldest coffee family in the world and to be a representative of the 5th generation of a coffee family, which is so worldwide known, being a Meinl? What does it mean to you, and what kind of responsibility does it bring when you're in front of such a group of the people?
So thank you. It's not quite good morning, maybe good morning. Thank you also for being here and everybody taking time today. It's a great honor to be here. Yes, I come to Croatia every year with my family because I love Croatia. I love the sea, I love the heat, the sun. But it is also the first time that I've been here officially speaking to journalists, so I hope we'll have a fun morning. What does it feel like? Well, it's an honor and a pleasure, obviously. The pressure is on. If you've had 5 generations before you, you don't want to mess it up in your generation. So you might go into that. I started my life somewhere else. I was in medicine, in biology, infectious diseases and medicine, because I thought I was the youngest of the 5th generation and I would do my own thing. But then, obviously, the calling came back to the family. Why? Because it is such a beautiful product. My family has given so much love and dedication to coffee. I felt that I wanted to make a difference. And I think that only when you partake in something, then you can make a difference. So I promised myself I'd put my energy into it. And this is where we are.
So what do you do now? What's your professional journey, and how does your past life, which is obviously a very important part of your life because you wouldn't be who you are today without studying biology and medicine, brought to you into this journey? And how do you think that influenced what you do today in terms of sustainability?
So it has a big influence. I believe that everything you do has a big influence. And within Meinl, I started out doing innovations. And I became very involved in the Specialty Coffee Association. I really enthralled into that world, which is a world that I love. And now I've gone into communication and thinking about the future. Where did it influence my part in sustainability? Well, in part of my medical life, I spent a year in Tanzania working at a hospital, and there I saw that healthcare is important, healthcare in these communities is important. And so now when I travel around into the communities, I see that a lot of the things we do, a lot of the impact that we have with Fairtrade, with other certifications also, makes a difference in these communities because it means that they have access to healthcare, they have access to education, training, and means a sustainability for the future of coffee. Of that, I'm convinced.
You said that you were the youngest of the 5th generation. I think it is really impressive that your father allowed you actually to do your own thing. And you said a sentence which left a mark in me, like, you have to live your own life, so be free. He didn't lock you in into the coffee business, despite the fact that the family has been breathing and living coffee for 160 years. Did that fact actually let you throw your wings and do your thing, and maybe just because of that, come back to coffee afterwards?
I'm sure. We spoke about this yesterday. I grew up with a father out of quite a sort of traditional family who told me that never let anybody tell you that you can't do something because you're a girl. And that makes you very free. That makes you very powerful. To all the fathers in the room, please tell your daughters there is no limit. There is no limit. It's only in the head. And we know that in many communities there are limits. But I think we need to educate our children to say there are no limits. Feel free. And I'm sure that's also why I felt very free. I went my way around and then came back to something and come back wholeheartedly, not because I have to, but because I want to, and I choose to do it every day.
Full of passion and full of energy. But now you just said a sentence like, it is not possible to do that kind of a thing in all communities in the world. You had the luck to actually see some communities and to live in them. You mentioned just Tanzania, but there has been a lot of hospitals and communities that you worked with in Africa and all around the world. Is maybe that one of the reasons you're so passionate about sustainability, plus, of course, the future and your own family and children?
So definitely it has had an impact on my life because of medicine and the impact that medicine has. Why am I passionate about sustainability is because I think it is our duty for our next generation. So I have promised my children that I will do everything in my power to make it a better place and to keep the environment and the animals and the communities as nice as I found them. Now, nobody has the full power, but we have a power in our lives. And the impact that we can have in our lives, that is something that is very powerful. And then everybody does their own life, then it's a very big life. Yes, I traveled to the coffee communities. I've traveled to Uganda. This year, because of the Barista Cup that Katarina was referring to, I went to Honduras. And I saw with my own eyes the impact that our fair trade, coffee trading had on that community. They built up a hospital. They had a doctor there. And because of my medical background, I could sort of see for myself whether I found it was good. I often want to see these places myself because I want to get a feeling of whether I think we're having a real impact. And it absolutely affects those communities, it improves their communities, and it means that they can give their child a better life. I mean, when we tell our children we want them to have a good life, but everybody wants their child to have a good life, so do coffee farmers. And so when they can educate their children and also give them healthcare, then that makes a huge difference.
Oh, we'll tackle those two topics, especially because actually coffee is already doing that. But you mentioned Barista Cup. That's where we actually met last year in Vienna. And I have to say, I was quite honored to be able to moderate that event also, because there you could actually feel, sense, and see that the baristas already who are making their coffees with Julius Meinl coffee are changing their lives and lives of their customers. And it's such a simple thing, but yet meaningful, because it's just a cup of coffee. But you were the driving force behind it. So being able here today to represent this special blend of coffee in front of journalists, could you tell us what does it mean to you personally, being double certificated, and what does it mean for the brand in general?
So you say it's only coffee. It's not coffee. It's a community. And I wish sometimes that sort of international politics were like the coffee community. There's no barriers. It's a big family. You work towards making coffee better. And I think that's I love it. The Barista Cup was a very special moment for me because we were honoring the best baristas, but everyone was so good. You know, everybody had given their heart into it for an entire year. These baristas train for a year, partly, to really make the coffee perfect. And that's why a Barista Cup is so much about quality, it's so much about training, it's so much about passion in the product, which is what coffee does. People who get drawn into coffee never leave coffee again. I've seen many people, such as myself, you start out with medicine and then you go into coffee. The double certification is very close to my heart because I'm absolutely of the opinion that it's the right way to go. I believe that having organic, I've seen myself farms that had chemical fertilizers versus organic fertilizers, and the results are striking. They are beautiful. Little sort of things that chemical fertilizers are dependent on rain, so you have to put them on the moment when you know it's going to rain. Well, we all don't know when it's going to rain and not. Organic fertilizers are not. They can use them and then wait for the rain to come. And I saw myself in Honduras. I was of the opinion, it was eye-opening for me in Honduras in January this year. I thought climate change is going to come. This is 5 to 12. This is always the rhetoric that we have. No, in Honduras, the farmers were saying it's here already. The cherries were on the trees, the harvest was full, and it rained so long that they couldn't harvest because the farms are on, good quality farms are on slopes. They can't stand, the pickers can't stand, they slip, so they couldn't harvest them. These are the cherries. This is actually a photo from Honduras. And then when it's too wet, it means that the cherries break open and there's fungus that goes in, and it's bad for the quality. So I saw with my own eyes that climate change is here. And I also said, I believe that human beings, we're such an intelligent species, we can make anything happen. We can also make this happen, but let's do it. And we can figure it out. We can work on sustainability, but we have to. There is no doubt in my mind that that is the way to go. And that's why I'm behind it with my name and with my family name, because I truly believe in it.
So the message is we have to act now because it started happening yesterday. Actually, we were mentioning baristas. Once you go into the coffee world, you never want to leave. They're making incredible, mesmerizing cups of coffees. But one thing about your travelings to Honduras per se was that baristas actually met the people who are making their coffee, farmers. What was that like, and how do farmers feel when they finally see the person who is processing their beans, who look like this at the beginning, into something which looks like this, and in Dubai it could cost up to $25?
So that was the beautiful thing about the Barista Cup. I was allowed to travel with our barista winners, 4 of them, to Honduras. And there we met with the coffee farmers and their children. And it was a beautiful moment because the baristas took the children's hand, over their shoulder, took it hand and made a beautiful latte art. And these children had never tasted a cafe latte first. It had some drawings in it. And they were having fun together. They were exchanging knowledge together. The baristas were saying that one barista does in Dubai and sells his cappuccino for $25. And the coffee farmer was saying, now I finally know what you are doing with our product. We've only always just sent the coffee bags to Europe or to the US, and we never know what happens with it. So then we were cupping the coffees together with the baristas. So the coffee farmers, their children, and the baristas. And we were cupping it together, and the barista says, I taste this. And the coffee farmer says, but I taste this. And then the children were also learning. So that is, for me, the best part of sustainability. It's not about giving money to communities. That's wrong. It's about building business together, building relationships and partnerships for over many generations, and teaching each other. We learn from them and they learn from us. But it's that exchange that for me is the most valuable part about sustainability. And that for me is the future, and we're going to do more of that, obviously.
Yeah, giving feedback to each other and building businesses like that because of that feedback. We said we were going to tackle 2 major topics. Coffee can definitely fund beautiful things for future generations. 1, medicine, and 2, education. But it's already happening, and it's not just an utopia. So some colleges are being more attended by children who are in the coffee industry, farmers, and there are some clinics that are open because they're funded by coffee organizations. Could you please tell us something a bit more about that?
Yeah, so absolutely. I mean, we have this Generations program. It starts with the commitment that I promised my children, and we at the Julius Meinl family with our teams have promised our children to do it. So yes, and I've seen in Colombia, I've seen in Uganda, I've seen in Honduras the effect that you have if you buy a fair trade organic coffee, then the farmers start to see, they intercrop, they start to get agricultural trainings, they intercrop their farms with, they call it food crop and cash crop. Cash crop is soya and coffee, food crop is papaya, is banana. The banana trees are intercropped and they give shade, they also protect the humidity in the soil, so when the banana leaf falls down, the humidity is protected. There's a lot of thinking behind there, a lot of know-how that you can do. And absolutely, as I said, I've seen the clinics, I've seen the hospitals built up from these programs, and I've spoken to the individual families, often women, that come forward and say, I can finally pay for schooling for my children, and I have access to healthcare. And that is, that's pretty, touches your heart when you hear that.
Yeah, of course. So let's talk about women. There are 2 names that I remembered, Rosibel and Sandra. Very inspiring, strong women from a different part of the world. So what are their stories? And in your opinion, being a woman in this industry, but in European Union, what's the role in general of women in this industry all over the world, especially in the countries where they have farms?
So women are very involved in the coffee industry. A lot of the also pickers are women. In Africa, a lot of women are still not allowed to own land, which is why men own the land. And that is sometimes a problem because you have to really make sure that you give training to the women who are working on the farm and who know a lot about it. The 2 ladies that I met in Honduras, absolutely, they said they could send their children to university. And that was very powerful. You know, they aspire towards medicine, which is funny. The medicine is the one thing that sort of springs to mind. Absolutely, they, as I said, the agricultural policies, they learn how to deal with it. They learn how to make their own organic fertilizers. They exchange with one another. And I think there's a lot more to learn, I have to say, looking at climate change the way it is now. But these women are like many other women in the world, really trying to make it better for themselves and their families. And there's a lot of communities that go around women training women, train the trainer systems. It's good.
But they cannot do it without men, so we have to be very equal here. You shared an interesting quote yesterday, if I'm not wrong, of Jane Goodall. It's like an eagle. One wing is a woman, the other wing is a man, which is a very important thing to remember. So
and
we're not
the eagle
fighting.
cannot fly with only one wing. I was in a room where somebody said to Jane Goodall, all the women, and she said, yeah, but let's not forget the men. An eagle cannot fly with only one wing. We need both wings. And I like that because it's about strengthening everybody, strengthening men, strengthening women, but making sure that we live in harmony together and that we all have equal opportunities, if you say.
And only together we can build a better future. So to wrap things up, you mentioned your program, Generations. It is expanding soon. In what way?
Oh, yes. Well, Generations program is what we started. That's where we look at all the different opportunities that we have. I can't give a sneak preview yet.
Not even a trailer.
You will find out at the Barista Cup next year. It's probably going to be Africa, but I won't be able to say more now. But anyway, we select all the programs where we have the feeling we really have an impact. We go and look at them ourselves. We work with people on the ground. I don't believe in having programs the way you just get a piece of paper and send the money. You have to really look at these programs yourself, see the impact that you have, measure it, and learn for the next time. Everything that you do, you can learn further. It's exciting. I believe in the future of coffee. I believe that these communities will exist. It's the biggest traded good in the world after oil. So, it's a big, big industry. And I think that we can make this industry a better industry by really learning how to provide the future of coffee in a good way where we can all win. So we have our sustainability claim is together we grow. We want to grow together. We grow, communities grow, everybody along the value chain should grow and should be able to make a future for their children.
It's so wonderful to listen to you. You're like a personification of sustainability in a strong woman's body. So thank you so much. And just to end up with a private note, what's your favorite blend? What do you drink at home? How does your house smell, being a Meinl family?
Ooh, that's a difficult one. Well, you will appreciate that I have lots of coffees. So what I like, I play around with them. So what I really like is when somebody comes in and says, I have a coffee, I have a secret one, try it. I like playing around with different, so obviously the Belvedere Blend, which is what you're going to taste now, is a beautiful cup of coffee. It is really very nice, very harmonious. As you said, it's sweetness, caramel, hazelnut, and dark chocolate. So this is beautiful. But when I play around, I love playing around with French presses. I love playing around with chemixes. I love playing around with different brewing methods. And one coffee geek, they don't call themselves freaks, they call themselves geeks. One coffee geek once said to me, the coffee chooses its brewing method. And it's true. You can have a coffee and you try it, and an espresso and a French press and a cold brew and something, and one of them comes out and says, this is it. And you say, okay, coffee, you've chosen your brewing method, which is when we have stands at the World of Coffee or something. If you're ever there, come past, because we have the same coffee, the same product in 5 different brewing methods. And it's a completely different drink. It's a completely different coffee. And that's why coffee is so nice. It's a natural product. Different coffees are different in different years. There might be monsoon rains, then the beans swell up, but they're bigger, drought, then they're smaller. So it's a natural product. That's why it's so nice. And as I said, it chooses its brewing methods. And that's what I like about it, playing around with this natural product. That I like.
We can't stress enough that coffee is a natural product. We tend to forget about it because we see it in such beautiful packs and we just use it and take it for granted in a way. But it is, and it depends on a lot of things. So to finish this up, you mentioned your family, vacations here. You have 2 sons, obviously, and it's about your promise to your children, what you're going to do with yourself in regard to the future of this planet. So what is the final message that we can use from you who are living this passionately, that we can share with our children and start doing today already? So make the snowball become an avalanche of change here.
So I will quote a lady who I just mentioned, who's not so well known here, but who just died last week, who is Jane Goodall. She had a meeting with my children half a year ago, and the children asked her, "What do you want us to know?" And I will share it with you because she shared it with them. Every person can make a difference. Everybody, you have an impact on the world. You choose whether it's positive or negative. And so I really like that because it means we can all be active, and it's not about changing the whole world. I often say you just have to change one person's world. You've already won. Somebody who listens, somebody who thinks I can do it. In my case, often a little girl who thinks she can do it. And that's already a lot. So I think everybody can make a difference. She's right. Everybody can make that change. And I've committed to do it. I will do everything and not rest until I've done as much as I can. And also, I do think, and I was saying this yesterday also, I believe that this is the future. I don't think that we can go on just exploiting the world and taking it and forgetting about the next generations, because they come to us and say, what are you doing? Are you doing everything? And that's where we want to say to our children, yes, we are. So this is a generation, we have the opportunity to have an impact, and even more so with such a beautiful product that tastes so nice, it even kind of makes it easy. So that's my approach to it. I'm happy to then take any questions anybody might have. I might know the answer, I might not know the answer, but I can give as good answers as I can think of. But no, I think everybody can do their bit, and we owe it to our children that we try at least.
Thank you so much. You are such an inspiring woman. Thank you very much for coming here from Vienna, obviously late last night, to be here with us, for sharing so selflessly everything in what you believe in, and for all of your insights, and for inspiring us in such a short conversation. So I think we can prolong this and spend a couple of hours talking to Christina Meinl, but having in mind that it's only Thursday and that we need to wrap things up, I will say heartfully thank you, but I will also open up the floor for your questions.